Ever wanted to make a board game but felt completely overwhelmed by how much work it takes, designing every card, every rule, every little piece, only to realize it doesn't work and you have to go back and redo it all from scratch? Well, today I'm going to show you how to skip through all that frustration and walk you through how I make a board game from scratch fast. And not only fast, I'm talking about a fully working prototype, multiple playtests, and actual revisions all under 24 hours. And I know this might sound like a bit of an exaggeration, but I can tell you it's truly that easy, because I've done it myself. Twice. Between two 24-hour board game challenges and a bunch of other projects, I've learned how to make board games and do it quickly. So if you've got an idea and a single day to spare, let me show you how to bring your game to life. And stick around because I think some of these tips might just change the way you make games. To start, let's talk brainstorming. Maybe you've got an idea, maybe you don't. Either way, I recommend starting with brainstorming. Just write down anything that comes to mind. For me, usually I start with a core concept, something I'm trying to achieve. In the case of my two 24-hour game challenges, I started with a theme. Partly because that's what the challenge required, but honestly, it's a great jumping off point if you're just starting from scratch. That core concept can be anything, narrative, mechanic, or just a vibe you're going for. The most important thing is to get the ideas flowing. Write down everything, even the bad ideas. You never know which ones might evolve into something useful. Don't be afraid to borrow inspiration either. Pull ideas from your favorite board games, but also video games, books, movies, whatever inspires you. Sometimes adapting ideas from outside the tabletop scene can lead to something truly unique. But say nothing's coming to you. Then talk to a friend, bounce ideas around. That back and forth can spark concepts you'd never come up with alone. You're a nerd and don't have friends? No problem. Using an AI or something like ChatGPT can actually be super useful for ideation. Sure, most of the ideas probably shouldn't be taken directly, but it can still help get the ideas flowing, like talking to a friend. Once you've got your list, it's time to refine. Pick your best ideas, cut the rest. Look at them through the lens of what makes the best minimum viable product. If something feels too big or complicated for your first prototype, cut it. You can always add it back later if you have time. I decided to do this exact thing for my corruption mechanic with Blighted Blackridge. It was too big of a scope, and I decided to cut it from the 24-hour version. However, I decided to add it back in after when I had more time. So you've got your ideas, and now you're ready to actually make the game. Start by taking those ideas and plugging them into a spreadsheet. Personally, I recommend Google Sheets for this step. For one, it makes collaborations super easy. If you're working with friends, they can just jump in and help. And for two, well, we'll get to that in a second. From there, design your game in sheets, separating each element into columns. For instance, card names, card types, effects, indicators, etc. Now here's where it gets interesting. Once your spreadsheet is ready to go, you can take it into a program called Dexterous. It uses a layout and converts all the cells in your spreadsheet into complete game components. Cards, tiles, tokens, you name it. The first time I found this tool, it blew my mind. No more opening Photoshop and editing each card by hand. Just change a single cell in your spreadsheet and it updates the card. But enough hyping it up. From here, you've got a few options. Use one of many built-in layouts, customize an existing one, or make your own from scratch if you're feeling fancy. Once you have your layout that fits your game, you import your spreadsheet and Dexterous does the rest. All your cards generated in one go. Honestly, they explain this way better on their website, but this program really does make making games quickly a breeze. Without it, I don't think it would have been possible to make a game in 24 hours. But we're not done yet. Dexterous also lets you export components directly to platforms like Tabletop Simulator or ScreenTop.gg. And of course, it can also export them to printable formats as well. Now I get it, printing your game and holding it in your hands is tempting, but I would urge you to stay digital as long as possible to maximize your time and rapidly develop your game. Why? Because exporting from Dexterous to Tabletop Simulator just takes a few minutes, and there's no need to spend hours printing and cutting out every single card after every tweak. By keeping things digital, you can iterate fast, testing new ideas instantly, and spending your time actually improving the game. And of course, all this leads to one of the most important steps: playtesting. Having your game on Tabletop Simulator can help with this as well. You can test it with your friends or complete strangers from one of many Discord servers dedicated to board games. A few good ones include Tabletop Simulator's official Discord, Break My Game, HTCG, Tabletop Craft, Dexterous's Discord server, and what's this? My very own Discord server where you can test your games and play mine as well? Wow, wild. You should definitely join that one. Jokes aside, getting playtests might feel intimidating at first, but I promise you it's easier than you think. Or heck, if you really can't find anyone, play it yourself. In fact, I recommend this. Solo playtesting for your first few playtests generally helps find a lot of the glaring issues without having to get another player involved. While you playtest, take detailed notes. Track what worked, what didn't, what felt clunky, what confused people, what part of the game had typos. All that information comes incredibly handy when it comes to actually revising the game. Speaking of revisions, thankfully, with Dexterous, this part is actually extremely simple. Go into your spreadsheet and tweak what needs fixing based on the notes you took, and playtest again. It's really that simple. Up next is art. Now this can be done really at any point in the process, but a lot of people will tell you to save the art for the end because the mechanics are more important. And while there's some truth to that, if working on the visuals is what keeps you excited about your game, then work on the art. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is that you have the follow through to finish your project. Plus, working on art is a great way to give your mind a break when spreadsheets and game mechanics start to melt your brain. That said, if your goal is to finish a game quickly, I recommend sticking with a simple art style, something that you can realistically finish in the time you have. For example, in one of my 24-hour games, I ended up just using silhouettes to avoid getting stuck in the details. Even for my main game, I kept the style simple so I can produce cards more quickly. Now I use Photoshop for my art, but you can use whatever tool you're most comfortable with. The best tool is the one that you can work with fastest, especially if you're on a deadline. So now that you've got your game, you'll need a rulebook. Honestly, I'm probably not the most helpful for this one because I'm dyslexic and I can't write to save my life, but I do have some advice for you that makes the process easier. First, wait until the end to write your full rulebook. Once your mechanics are locked in, it'll be much easier to write clear instructions without having to rewrite things. That said, don't forgo writing anything at all. Make sure to write down your core mechanics and your key rules, making sure to get some quick notes, that way you can flesh it all out later. Second, use tools like ChatGPT to help revise as you write. It might not be able to tell a good joke, but it can help you clean up your writing and make it sound more professional. Just don't expect it to write the whole thing for you. It'll get things wrong unless you already know what you're trying to say. Of course, this whole step is potentially skippable as long as you're there when the game is played. Still, I thought it was worth touching on, especially if you're planning to share this game beyond your immediate circle. And lastly, printing your game. Once you're happy with your game, you can then print it out and play it in the real world. Usually I use the thickest cardstock my printer can handle. For cards specifically, I recommend using card sleeves. Not only does it make it feel way more usable, but also prevents them from sticking together. Alternatively, if you don't have heavy paper, you can just print it out on plain paper and back each one with a real playing card into the card sleeve. So there you have it, all my tips for making a card or board game as quickly as possible. Of course, a game made in 24 hours won't be perfect. One of my own games has been in development for a year now, and I'm still not done. But that doesn't mean a game made in 24 hours can't be fun or worth making. That's why I really encourage you to give it a try. Set a deadline for yourself, whether it's 24 hours, a week, or just a focused evening. A timeline can really do wonders for pushing you past perfectionism and actually finishing a project. And when you're done, come to my Discord server and show us what you made. I'd love to see it, and maybe we could even play it together. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.